All right. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our 21st episode of the Injustice at Home webinar series, and also our first episode for 2021. I'm very pleased today to be able to use the Coalition for Civil Freedoms platform to host a very special annual event that happens in my hometown of Tampa, Florida, organized by the wonderful Deputy Executive Director, Dr. Melva Underbaki, who founded Friends of Human Rights many years ago around the start of my father's case, of course, the case of Sami Arian and 3 other men in Tampa charged in a false terrorism conspiracy case that thankfully resulted in 0 guilty verdicts. We have, what my family and I always talk about, a very special community in Tampa that stood by as staunch allies, as real, in a true partnership with the Muslim community. Organizing around many false terrorism prosecutions and really putting themselves out there to defend the rights of all people. This is a wonderful event, a lighthearted event that unfortunately I've never been able to join before because of the distance. I haven't lived in Tampa, sadly, in over a decade, but one of the silver linings of the pandemic is to be able to join this year for the very first time. So I'm lucky, just like all of you, hopefully, who are joining us, to be able to learn more about this event, to hear from the many wonderful speakers, and to hear some excellent live music, and just really begin the year on a happy note, in solidarity and love with one another. So without further ado, I'd love to turn it over to Mel Underbaki, who can tell us a little bit about the history of this event. And please stick around till the end. We have 4 musical performances, a couple of sing-alongs, and a raffle. So be sure to stay with us. All right. Hi, Mel. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you also. Yeah, someday you will come live to our picnic. Hopefully we will be live next year.
Yes, definitely.
I just want to tell you a little bit of how it started. It was in 2015. There was a lot of violence and hate crimes, fueled by Islamophobia. And Chris Ernesto of St. Pete for Peace contacted me, and he said we should do something to show support for the Muslim community. And so we talked about it and thought about it for a while, and we decided to have a picnic at Lettuce Lake Park. And one of our I went talk to Noor, you'll be hearing from him in a few minutes. So I called up Noor, so we do that, it's a good idea. So we all got together and organized it. And that first event was amazing. We had 20 sponsors. The St. Pete Times put it in the newspapers, so they were helping us advertise with their article. And the park rangers said, they counted the cars, and they estimated that 2,500 people came, which wow. I thought was really wonderful. We definitely support the Muslim community here. So that was the start of this, and it's gone on every year since. This would be our, so 2016 was the first one. The message was we're going to start the year right with solidarity, and we had all kinds of people there. We had a Buddhist monk there. We had just all people from everywhere. People from around the country were there. So it was a pretty amazing event. And we've been carrying it on ever since. And
incredible.
A lot of people that are here today have been at all of the events.
I think that's really a testament, though, to what makes Tampa so unique. I mean, to get 2,500 people of all different faiths to show up in solidarity with Muslims at a time where there was heightened anti-Muslim bigotry and Islamophobia and attacks. What do you think it is that makes Tampa so special and unique as far as, this pre-existing partnership that, even as I was growing up, I saw through different organizations like, the Hillsborough Organization for Progress and Equality, and these various, cooperative efforts between the Muslim community and their neighbors. So what do you think about that, and why, how did that come about?
I do think hope is a big factor. I mean, I was, my church, which is First United Church of Tampa, and the Islamic community of Tampa had a long-standing relationship that goes back before all this Islamophobia. And both of us are in Hope, the organization you mentioned there. And so we get all these different groups working together. and it's been ongoing, and we're going to continue it forever. So I just think that's it. I mean, knowing each other, working together, and it just leads to solidarity and positive outcomes.
Definitely. And I always use Tampa as sort of a model for other communities. As in our work with CCF, we hear from family members with loved ones in prison, and they often talk about their isolation and alienation from their communities. So, what advice do you have for other communities as far as kind of not being so insular and taking a proactive, effort to engage with their community members so that they don't find themselves alone?
Yeah, I think one thing is, if you see something that's wrong, that's going on, find out about it, find out what's going on, and get involved. Because like we saw these, like your dad's case that came up, and we saw that was wrong, and we got involved. We started Friends of Human Rights, and that led to, I mean, I think we were a big part in his the fact that the jury found him innocent, because they saw us there every day at his trial for 6 months. And then we had another case there, the Yusuf Magahez case, and also they found him innocent. And that just, as you know, it never happens in these cases. So it's really like a miracle. And I think it's that community support, and it's,
and more recently, the Noor Salman case. So, I mean, I have to mention this, and I don't, I want to move on, of course, to Brother Noor Salha, but the fact that there are documented around 1,300 false terrorism cases or terrorism prosecutions in general, I mean, many of them, over 90% we consider false. The fact that, only 5 of them resulted in acquittals, 3 of them in Tampa and the Orlando area, I think is a huge testament to the power of this community and how proactive you are in rejecting this narrative. So now I want to turn it over to Brother Noor Salhab, another staple of our community, who was like a father to me growing up, very active with the Islamic community of Tampa. And he's there every year at this annual gathering. So if you would like to share your New Year's message for our audience and speak a little bit about why this partnership between the Islamic community of Tampa and other churches locally and Friends of Human Rights is so meaningful for you, and why you continue to come out every year.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Likewise.
And thank you all for coming to this webinar. I am very happy to see these faces, some of them that I do know and some of them which I don't, but we are all good human beings fighting for justice and freedom for all. To be honest with you, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, actually now, as Mel said, that they were concentrating on the Muslims and all these allegations and terrorism and all the stuff. So she talked to me about organizing our community and theirs to stand up together as a community, Tampa community, against all these false allegations. And we welcome this opportunity, and we did everything that we can to make sure that the event was very successful, and thank God for that. As she said, we had over 2,500 people who came to that celebration. That was really amazing. And we had lots of food and lots of fun, and lots of friends were there. We wish you were there, you and your dad. So anyway, but really, the Muslim community owe it. We owe really our, a lot to the Christian in this town, especially the Mel's Church, First United Church of Tampa, and to the leadership of that church, who stood very solid. They were our backbone. They have been our backbone all this time. And every time we need them, they are there for us. So no matter what you say and how much you say, we cannot pay them enough really for their good stands towards the Muslim community and the Muslims in, in large. So I don't know what to say, but I hope this year, I know when Mel talked to me about this event here, I said, how are we gonna do it? Right now we have pandemic is like crazy and the COVID-19 and all that, and we don't want nobody to get hurt. So she suggested that we go to the webinar, and she insisted that we will have that. And I really thank her for her, because otherwise we would not have done it. So thank you, Mil, for your insistence. Thank you, Lena, for helping us as well. And I am very happy to see the other people, their faces, and sharing this happy celebration. And hopefully next year we will all be together here in Tampa, where we really celebrate. The pandemic will be over, and where we can sit and talk and eat and enjoy and laugh and sing together.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm always so grateful for Mel and her persistence, and it really pushed me for almost 2 decades now in many ways of my life, in many ways in my life, and just gave me strength. So I draw my strength too, and persistence from Mel. And thank you so much for your kind words as well, and for coming here and joining with us. Now I want to turn it over to Tara, but I want to come back to you later, Brother Noor, to talk to us a little bit about how the Qassam community has been giving back through some of the response to COVID as well, that I'd love for you to talk about later on. Now, if you mind shifting the camera to Tara, she's here with an organization, a local organization called the Muslims for Democracy and Fairness. And if you'd like to tell us a little bit about what this organization does. You've also volunteered with the Coalition for Civil Freedoms every year. You show up to our family conferences, and you're just, I've known you since childhood. So it's really special to be able to see you today. So if you could tell us about your organization and why you're here today and every year.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Good afternoon,
everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Along with everybody else, I pray that this new year brings a lot of good health and stability for everyone around the world, inshallah. Thank you for hosting it, Lena. We are so happy that you could be part of it this year. Alhamdulillah, you're always part of it, spiritually.
In spirit, yes, in spirit.
And thank you, Mel, for being persistent as well. We owe you a lot for many years. So individually, I've been part of the picnic for the last couple of years. But as an organization, as Muslims for Democracy and Fairness, we actually were co-sponsors last year. And that was the first time our organization was able to partake in the gathering. And alhamdulillah, it was pretty good. We were able to bring out a lot of candidates to the event where they can meet and greet the community members and just introduce a little bit about their platforms. So Muslims for Democracy and Fairness, we're a nonprofit organization. We also have a political action committee, which we initiate during election season. And alhamdulillah, this past election, we were very active. And like many organizations and people, we really, because of COVID, we had to kind of find an alternative of how do we bring the candidates to the community members. And obviously particularly to the Muslim community. So alhamdulillah, we were able to meet candidates, social distancing in our office here. And in addition to that, we were able to also do Zoom meetings, interviews in which we conducted a questionnaire and presentation. And we were able to also record a short clip of that candidate promoting their platform. And you can find all those videos on our Facebook or Muslims for Democracy and Fairness, and I can put that in the link as well, inshallah. So overall, I think we did a very good job considering the circumstances we were in. And our next step now is, inshallah, to go and approach the officials and, establish a meeting and go further to see how we can, I'm lost for words, how we can serve our community, really. So inshallah, we look forward to that, and we look forward to next year where we can have a huge picnic and hopefully have that same 2,500, if not more, participants, inshallah.
Definitely want to come down for that. Thank you so much, Dada, for everything you do. And it's incredible just to see how much this community has grown with, you know, a huge school being built and, you know, just the community becoming so large and all of your work building political power in the Muslim community and still continuing this important tradition of outreach to the greater Tampa community. Now, without further ado, I'd love to turn it over to Gloria. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
This
Go ahead.
lady, she is the new leader in here.
MashaAllah, yes. She's wonderful. I'd love to see that, yes. Thank you so much again. So now I'd love to bring on Gloria Hayes. She will be our first musical performance this afternoon. So please, without further ado, please help me welcome Gloria Hayes. My little applause.
It is really an honor and privilege to be here with you today. I was at the picnic a couple of years ago and really touched my heart, and I feel very strongly that we need to come together. And so I bring to you a song that I've known for many years by a wonderful composer named Tom Paxton. It's called Peace Will Come. I will play it a little bit as an instrumental on the hammer dulcimer, and then invite you to join along in your hearts, because that's really where the peace begins. Peace, peace will come. Let it begin with me. Sweet peace. We need peace. Let it begin with me. Oh, my own life is all I can hope to control. Oh, let my life be lived for the good of my soul, and let it bring peace. Sweet peace. We need peace. Let it begin with me. Sweet peace, we need peace. Let it begin with me. Let it begin with me.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you so much. What a beautiful message to begin the new year with. Thank you so much, Gloria. That was beautiful. Next, I want to bring in Reverend Bernice Powell Jackson, and she is the lead minister at the First United Church of Tampa, which was my, second home community, and I spent so many hours there, and it was a place that we considered a safe haven for us when our family was, heavily under attack and targeted by the government. And it's always going to remain dear to my heart, and a place I hope to visit anytime I'm in Tampa. So thank you so much for joining us. Happy New Year. And yeah, I'd love to turn it over to you to share any words for the new year and why you've been a part of this event.
Assalamu alaikum. It's
Alaikum
Happy New Year
assalam.
to you.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to see you, Lena. It's wonderful to be
Good to
here.
see you.
Even though we're not in person, we are at least able to see one another. And we were smiling this morning because it's kind of rainy and cloudy and dreary here. And we said normally we'd be worried about the rain for our picnic, but this year we don't have that worry so much.
Yes,
so that's
exactly.
that's an unexpected blessing.
Mhm.
This is probably the most unusual picnic that we've had after a most unusual year that we've all experienced. And it's a year which brought us together around the world because we realized that we are all human beings and we are all suffering from this virus, no matter who we are or where we are. Some of us more than others, but it's everywhere. And little did we know last year this time when we came together what would be ahead of us only a few weeks in the future. And I think it's important to pause and say, even as we say Happy New Year, that we've lost friends, we've lost members of our congregations, we've lost sisters and brothers in this country and in countries all around the world. So while we're happy to be in a new year, I think we all are a little saddened and chastened by this past year. But I think that one of the things that we've been forced to realize is that community is more important now than it's ever been before. I think in many ways we took community for granted before. And as you were talking, Lena, you were talking about the community in Tampa, and I think that we didn't take it for granted for various reasons. And we understood that building community is an important part of our faith, whatever our faith may be, because all of our faiths teach us that. And that we have to rely on one another, that we are all human beings and that we all have to rely on one another. And so in many ways, I think that we as the world have come to realize this, even if we haven't yet articulated it. I think the other part that I wanted to share this year, which is a little different, is the type we call it CommUNITY with a capital UNITY, because that unity is part of that word community, and it's not by accident. It really is a part of it, and unity is more important now perhaps than ever before as well. And one of the things that we've learned through these years of coming together is that we are united in spirit. We're united in a commitment to democracy. We're united in a commitment to justice and freedom and peace and healing. The healing that we need as a nation, the healing that we need as a world, and the healing that all of creation needs right now. So I guess I would just say one more thing, and that this morning, as I was talking about the power of the word, and the word that has the most power is the word that we all share, no matter our faith, and that's the word love. And out of that love comes that community, comes that respect for one another and that caring for one another. So I guess that's the word that I'm holding on to right now, that I think our church is holding on to in a difficult time in our nation and in our world, is hold on to that word of love. And as we, even if we can't be together physically right now, as we've said, we can be together in spirit. All of the folks from the Islamic community of Tampa have been so important to our church. Noor talked about how important our church is to the community, the Islamic community, but I need to say that you all are important to us because we're one. We're all sisters and brothers. And so your story is part of our story, and I hope vice versa. So I look forward to next year and coming together and being able to hug one another and eat with one another, because part of building community is knowing one another. And I think that was also part of how the community in Tampa has grown, is because we really were committed to come to know one another, to know each other's children and grandchildren, to know each other's food, to share in breaking the fast during Ramadan with one another. Many times, many ways that we have really worked to build community. So that's what it's all about, and I look forward to continuing that.
Thank you so much for those beautiful words. And I think really they represent a lot of the healing that you are talking about, and hopefully people can listen to them again and resonate. And we need to heal on so many levels, physically, spiritually, mentally. I mean, it's just been such a difficult and taxing year for many of us, very isolating. And so it's nice to be here with all of you. And I hope that, our viewers have their communities, or they're welcome to join ours. I mean, we're here. Absolutely. So thank you so much again.
Thanks,
and
Lena.
Absolutely. We always hope that we will remain a part of each other's lives. Next, I'd love to bring in Lois Price, another member of the First United Church of Tampa. And she has always been, a strong family friend to us, a very close family friend to us, and one of the founders of Friends of Human Rights, who was really, they were a backbone to our family during our unfortunate political prosecution, and, just a very dear friend. So hi, Lois. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Well, I don't have anything really profound to say. I just believe that the beauty of Friends of Human Rights and Hope and all of the organizations that bring us together is that they allow us to interact on a personal level. It's funny, I was thinking this morning, I'm probably going to end up rambling. I'll try to cut it short though. I was thinking this morning about your family, and I remember, isn't it funny how we remember simple things? I remember that one day when you and I guess Lela and Abel must have been off in college, your mom was busy with something having to do with your dad. He was still incarcerated. I got to borrow Lemma for a few hours, and that's really special to me because I have 4 boys. So the being able to borrow a little girl for an afternoon was just such a treat. She was making a blanket. She was crocheting an afghan that she was going to give to Abdullah someday. I don't know if she ever finished it. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. I'll ask her.
Thinking, this is just, no, she probably doesn't even remember this, but I just remember sitting in the car and looking over at her after I parked and thinking how amazing this family is with all that you have been through, that you would trust me to take your daughter out, or that your mom would trust me to take her daughter out and spend an afternoon with her.
I think it's a testament to you, though. And just what a wonderful, generous friend you are. So.
Well, that wasn't that much of an effort, but it was really a treat for me. But I think, what I know of love, of course, I know of my mother's love because she's touched me, but I also know of my great-great-great-grandmother's love because of the stories that I've heard around the dinner table. And I think every time we have an opportunity to get together and tell stories to each other, we are sharing a bit of ourselves and a bit of the love that we have to offer. And without organizations like Hope and Friends of Human Rights that do bring us together for picnics, we would never hear those stories. And there's probably a whole big piece of this world that we wouldn't understand because we wouldn't have had the opportunity to share those stories. So I'm grateful to Friends of Human Rights, certainly to your family. I'm deeply indebted for all that you've shared with me.
Likewise.
And to other groups. So
Thank you so
for
much.
hosting this picnic. I hope it'll be bigger and we'll all be past the virus.
Thank you so much.
We'll be able to get together.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lois. All right, next I want to bring in Cecilia Yoakum. She's a member of the Quaker community in Tampa. And I think that, thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. As you said, I'm a member of the Quaker meeting, the Friends meeting of Tampa. So we've been lucky enough to be able to attend a number of the community picnics. I think we were even at the very first one.
Yes.
Too.
Yes,
and you know, it's not as quite as everybody's saying, as exciting when we're all in person, but I really am liking this format too. Very, very informative, can concentrate. I think the reason why Quakers have been so involved in the community is that we believe that this is a way to knit people together, to knit communities together, and we can share our joys and our concerns and help with, you know, legislative issues or other kind of issues. Quakers believe there's that of God in everyone, as probably many religions do. And we believe in the golden rule to love our brothers and sisters, again, as many religions do. We make a concerted effort, though, to practice that. We're not always great, but we work on it. And we believe that our lives should speak. Very important to have action. And we look at the leadings that we have. Just as I think there were leadings from this group and a number of years ago to bring this community gathering into being and to be able to listen and meet with each other, I consider that a leading. And we've really deepened our connections, I believe, over the years. And we're finding new ways to adapt and change now. I hope in the future we can strengthen those connections and find other avenues to spend more time with each other and support each other. We seem like we have some new opportunities in the US, but we don't know quite yet what else could happen. So it's good to have this in place and see how our faith can lead us. I know a number of people in this group have participated in some of the Quaker organizations like the Friends Committee on National Legislation that works for legislation for issues like immigration, poverty, the children that were put into those horrible refugee camps, and also another group that's had a lot of international work is the American Friends Service Committee, which has done a lot of relief efforts for Palestinians. So I just see this connection that we have in ways. There's probably many other ways that we can work together. And even though we're a local group, we can have a big impact in these organizations. I want to end by reading a poem from Howard Thurman. If anybody knows him, he's a philosopher, theologian, educator, civil rights leader. But I think it speaks to the times we're in right now. Look well to the growing edge. All around us are worlds are dying and new worlds are being born. All around us, life is dying and life is being born. The fruit ripens on the tree. The roots are silently at work in the darkness of the earth. Against a time where there shall be new leaves, fresh blossoms, green fruit. Such is the growing edge. It is the extra breath from the exhausted lung. The one more thing to try when all else has failed. The upward reach of life when weariness closes in upon all endeavor. This is the basis of hope in moments of despair. the incentive to carry on when times are out of joint and men have lost their reason, the source of confidence when worlds crash and dreams whiten into ash, the birth of the child, life's most dramatic answer to death. This is the growing edge incarnate. Look well to the growing edge. Civil rights theologian Howard Thurman.
Thank you so much. What a especially meaningful quote now to you know, in light of everything that's been going on this last year. Thank you so much again, Cease, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I'm the newbie here. You guys have been here for a long time. Thank you again. Next, I'd love to turn it over to Elizabeth Block. This will be our second musical performance for the afternoon. So without further ado, help me welcome Elizabeth
I had
Block.
something in mind that was very political, but I've changed my mind. You probably don't know this song. It was written a couple of years ago by a man named Benedict Gagliardi. He is part of a duo called the Vox Hunters. And I'm told he wrote it, some of it going back and forth to school, finishing up his MA in biology. It's called One Species Are We, and it does have a chorus, which you don't have to join in if you don't want to.
Thank you.
Of the three domains of all life, eukaryotes are we. Inside each cell within us, a nucleus there be. Bacteria, archaea, unfortunate are they. There is no membrane bound around their strands of DNA. Linnaeus, Linnaeus, here's to your hierarchy, and let it not betray us. One species are we. Linnaeus is Carl Linnaeus, the 18th century biologist who devised the way of classifying living organisms that we still use, genus and species and so on and so forth. Well, we modify it, but we still use his what he dreamed up. Come all my motile metazoans, that's you, and listen to my song. The kingdom Animalia is where we all belong. Plants may have their chlorophyll to photosynthesize, but animals are heterotrophs and fungi are likewise. Linnaeus, Linnaeus, here's to your hierarchy, and let it not betray us. One species are we. Our backbone gives us structure and strength to carry weight. In the phylum called Chordata, we join every vertebrate. But let our bony ego not exaggerate our worth. For the spineless worms and insects, they truly rule the earth. Linnaeus, Linnaeus, here's to your hierarchy, and let it not betray us. One species are we. By the milk our mothers gave us, by the hair upon our skin, it's clear that we are mammals, class Mammalia we're in. Most have a placenta, but this class has strange extremes, like the milky pouched marsupials and the egg-laying monotremes. Linnaeus, Linnaeus, here's to your hierarchy, and let it not betray us. One species are we. Now let us come to order, knowing in which class we fall. With apes and monkeys and prosimians, primates are we all. We all can be distinguished by our well-filled craniums and the envy of all other life, two fine opposable thumbs. Linnaeus, Linnaeus, here's to your hierarchy, and let it not betray us. One species are we. Welcome to the family, all great apes are we. Orangutan, gorilla, and our cousin chimpanzee. But if you believe bonobos just evolved into man, it seems you treat your own brain just like a garbage can. Linnaeus, Linnaeus, here's to your hierarchy, and let it not betray us. One species are we. Homo is the genus of the African bipeds who stood erect, picked up tools, and learned to use their heads. The others are extinct now, very sad to say, but thanks to our bad habits, we too may go that way. Linnaeus, Linnaeus, here's to your hierarchy, and let it not betray us. One species are we. So we are Homo sapiens, but let us not forget the reason we were given our distinctive epithet. We earned it for our wisdom, we earned it for our brain. May fear and hatred never trump intelligence again. Linnaeus, Linnaeus, here's to your hierarchy, and let it not betray us. One species are we.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. What a nice message. Incredible.
Took a while to memorize.
Oh, no.
I had to look up a few of the words.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. What a treat. Thank you again. Great. I just saw, oh, the baby just woke up. I just want to share some viewers on Facebook are wishing you all a happy new year. Someone from Oakland, California. Okay, so next I'd love to bring in a couple of our guest speakers from the Muslim community. I'll begin with our buddy Ahmed Badir. He is the host of WMNF's weekly show True Talk, and he's been involved with a number of of our campaigns in Tampa, and you know, you pretty much see him all the time when we're around organizing together. So thanks, Ahmed, for joining us.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for inviting me, and it feels like a reunion. I've been working with many of you for now, it seems like more than 20 years. It's been a long road. And, you know, it all started, of course, because of the case of Dr. Sami Al-Aryan. But even before that, you guys were already doing this kind of work with Hope before I showed up on the scene. And much of the success that I've had with starting care here was because of organizations and people like you, like Mel and the Reverend Powell Jackson and Lois Price and so many other friends, and Noor Salhab. And it's been a long journey, and you know, we're still here, COVID or not, in good times and bad times. And that's a testament to the bonds that we've built over the years, because when you believe and work for something bigger than yourself, like a cause, you connect with other people and you feel like you're part of something. And even if, you know, like under normal circumstances, you and I, and, you know, we would probably not get together. I mean, Mel and I are very different people. We don't hang out in the same places. We don't necessarily eat the same food, but under other circumstances, we wouldn't. But because we believed in something that's bigger than us, that's built around justice and doing the right thing, even when it's not popular. And I remember even before the Reverend Powell Jackson came to the church, they had that tradition of justice where because of the stance that they took on the case of Dr. Sami Al-Aryan, they actually lost congregants. They lost people. People said that we're no longer going to be part of your church because you're advocating for this individual who they believe to be a bad guy. And you know what, that and threats with losing money and others, but that did not dissuade them. They said, you know, well, we're sorry to see you go, but this is because of the principle. And I remember when hearing stories about the Reverend, what was his name? I'm sorry, I'm
Reverend
blanking.
Clark.
Yeah, Warren Clark. Warren Clark going and visiting Dr. Sammy. Of course,
It was
interestingly
Tuesdays
enough,
with Sammy. He would call
yeah,
it
it's Tuesday
Tuesdays
with
with Sammy.
Sammy. I only learned about this after the fact. And, you know, as many of you know, I actually never met Dr. Sammy before his arrest. I only learned about, you know, his work after his incarceration. In fact, my first press conference at CARE, when I was just, before we even opened the office, was to go to the courthouse the day of his event for a press conference. And I've never even done a press conference before. And that was, you know, my introduction to press conference. And of course, there were like hundreds of journalists and it was just a madhouse. But just remembering Reverend Warren Clark going down and hearing that he's going to meet with Dr. Sammy on Tuesdays, when other Muslims in the community were afraid to actually go see Dr. Sammy or even have a phone call with Dr. Sammy's or his wife or his children. I mean, the fear was real. The intimidation was real. The government, in effect, you know, got what they wanted to intimidate the community. And many people just pulled back. People stopped going to the masjid. People, you know, and I guess because so many people pulled back, I was the only one that was naive enough to step forward because I didn't really know at the time what I was getting myself into. So that's when they say, you know, ignorance is bliss. It can be in those situations. So a lot of people were saying, oh, you're so brave, you're so courageous. Well, it was just, I didn't know. And I wonder, had I know, you know, if I knew then what I know now, what they're capable of doing, you know, would I be, you know, more restrained? But I don't want to talk about myself. It's just, these are the memories that I have. And I'm fortunate and thankful to have friends and family like yours that, you know, we stood together in solidarity. We weren't doing it for attention. We weren't doing it for social media. This is way before Facebook and Instagram. And, you know, when you have today you see a lot of activists, you know, they're very visible, but these are the unsung heroes that were there way before that. They were out there in the streets holding the signs, not because they wanted to use it as some sort of, you know, popularity contest or for some sort of, you know, stepping stool. No, it came at a risk. It came at a risk of losing money. It came at a risk of losing friends. It came at a risk of being targeted by the most powerful government and standing up to them and saying, no, you know, this is not right. And we're going to stand up for justice, even for people that we may not necessarily agree with. And then, you know, it happened again in the same district, Middle District of Florida with Noor Salman, and a case that was so horrific where actually 47 people were killed in a nightclub in Orlando, a gay nightclub. And we remember, you know, all the media around that. And then all that anger was directed at this woman who was actually abused, Noor Salman, and the government was trying to pin it on her. We saw Friends for Human Rights at CCF and United Voices, the organization I represent. We stepped forward when others wouldn't. And we actually advocated for somebody who's very unpopular at a courthouse that was just a few blocks away from where this horrific murder had happened. And we were trying to say that, yeah, what the murder, you know, the mass killing is wrong and horrific, but she's not responsible for that. The person responsible for that has already been killed. And the people that are trying to cover it up are the same people that are trying to put Noor Salman on trial. And many people thought that that's just too far. But then, you know, the evidence proved itself. And it proves that even in this day, even in the time of Donald Trump, that the American people, if we have a fair trial with fair evidence, with unbiased jurors, you can still get a fair trial in this country. Now, it's very hard, but you got to fight for it. And you can't give in. And the one thing that was clear with the Dr. Samuel Arian's case and the Noor Salman cases, they did not give in. They continued against the odds and said, we're not going to plead out. We didn't do anything wrong. We're going to fight for this. And when people take that chance, they need other people to stand with them. And that's what Friends for Human Rights did. And that's what CCF did. That's what we did. I want
to ask you a question before you go, is that you travel a lot. I mean, you've been around the country, you've done a lot of organizing yourself through your organization, United Voices. What makes Tampa so unique, and what advice can you give for other communities to follow this example so that they can defend themselves against these
I think that what made
cases?
Tampa unique where others have not is that these relationships existed prior to these cases. Oftentimes, when in other communities where they had national security cases where people were arrested and are facing huge things, those people that are on trial, they try to build those alliances after the fact. Wherein, before Dr. Sammy's case, this alliance was already in place because through HOPE, through the alliance that was built around this issue of secret evidence, those relationships were long built and established. So when the government came along and said, this is what happened, and then people say, no, well, we know otherwise. And the relationship was there that you could organize, step out, and start advocating. And people would notice that. The jurors noticed that. Just standing outside the courthouse, people who are not from the family that are out there that are advocating for justice, for a fair trial, people see that on the way in. The jurors see it, the prosecutors see it, the government see it, the defense attorney. It makes a difference. So even with the Noor Salman case, just having Mel and I think it was someone else with her that was holding the banner, the same banner that was held during the trial of your father, just there. Opposite from that, there was another person that had an opposite banner that she should be fried or something. The jurors see these things, and talking to people start at least keeping an open mind. Why would these white Christian people be standing outside the courthouse advocating for fairness? So I think it's the relationships and activating them, and also just that it's been done before, and keeping an open mind, and of course having the right lawyers that believe in you and will not cave in, and having the correct response, and of course also prayers. But we've been fortunate in the Middle District that out of all the only 5 cases nationwide that people have come out to be innocent or won their cases, has been 3 of them have been in our Middle District here. My message, I guess, to all of us, let's continue this. Just because Donald Trump is on his way out, and I put that with an asterisk, because until January 6th, they're still trying to fight to stay in power, and somehow, I don't know what's going to happen. But just because Biden is coming into office, it's not going to be any different for us and for these types of cases. We can't let our guard down. These cases continued under the Obama administration. They'll continue under Biden's administration, and we need to work together. Let's not expect that somehow a difference in administration is going to change things on the ground for us. We have to now at least continue. The real work begins that we can apply some of this pressure, overturn some of these things, change the policies, the laws that are being misused, and hold these law enforcement that go rogue accountable for when they misuse the law, because in many cases they're scapegoating vulnerable individuals that don't need to be there and are entrapping them with these types of cases. So thank you so much. Let's stay strong. Happy New Year to all of you. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with all of you. And thank you again, Lena and CCF and Friends for Human Rights for and for Mel, and for all of you that I haven't seen for a long time. I'm really happy to see you here. Bye.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. I hope people really think long and hard about what you said. Really appreciate it. All right, next I'd like to bring in Hiba Rahim, representing CARE Florida. Happy New Year, Hiba. Assalamu alaikum. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Dina. Thank you. Happy New Year to everybody. CARE Florida has certainly been a part of this previously, but this is personally my first time as the new Tampa Bay Regional Coordinator for CARE Florida. So I am very honored to be part of this event, and also just listening to everyone has been so inspiring, because I haven't met the number of people that others have met each other, and I'm still in the process of meeting everyone, and just knowing and hearing how the community stood together. I know Tampa's a special place. I've lived here previously a long time ago. That's what drew me back to it. But knowing that these are the women and men who we can turn to as community allies, and more than that, as like friends, and even beyond that, as family, right? As brothers and sisters in humanity and brothers and sisters in faith, is really, really inspiring. And Muslims as we all know, have been politically targeted in the US for a long, long time. And knowing you can turn to people for people of good moral consciousness and turn to them for support is really invaluable. And I want the ally community and our brothers and sisters in humanity to recognize and know that it's so appreciated. I'm sure you know that, but I wanted to reinforce that thought. 2020 is a difficult year to talk about. It will undoubtedly go down in history as a turning point for so many people and on so many levels, whether it's, through political organizing because, of an endless stream of injustices, or igniting the civil rights movement once again, or the pandemic that we initially started saying doesn't discriminate against anybody, but then we found out that in fact it does discriminate, and it does affect certain populations, different socioeconomic backgrounds, more horribly than it does the rest. But still, we feel like it indiscriminately attacks and affects us all. All of these things really change the trajectory of life for so many people. And I can't help but wonder why God chose us to live through this, political turmoil, Islamophobia, xenophobia, the most egregious violations of our constitutional rights, perhaps that the nation has seen, at least in our lifetimes, for sure. And I believe wholeheartedly that we have a moral obligation. We have a religious obligation if you're a person of faith. We have a personal obligation to stand up against these injustices, to stand together, to unite. And I look forward to this year. There was, a joke that was going around on social media that asking the question, does it bother anyone else that this year is called 2021, like WON, or 2021? But it's 2021, and I certainly look forward to working together, to being a part personally of these great coalitions that I've heard about for so long in the Tampa Bay region, to work with Care Florida in order to stand against these injustices, and really just to be on the right side of history. And I pray that God enables us to do that. And I recently came across, sometimes you find these memes or quotes that really hit you hard. And I posted one recently on my Facebook page, but it really, really hit me because I feel like I see this constantly through the work that we do, whether it's with Muslim inmates advocacy or just in general. I mean, I've recently stepped into a little bit of understanding of environmental injustice, and it really brings to light this quote that reads that we are not all in the same boat, we are all in the same storm. But some of us have yachts, and some have canoes, and some are drowning. And it's our responsibility to use whatever privilege we have to lift those who are not doing as well as we are. And I really pray that God gives us some sincerity in our actions and the ability to reach out and help those who are drowning, or whose canoes have holes in them, or whose boats are smaller than us, or who are suffering in ways that we may have never experienced or even thought of. And to have that compassion in our hearts that allows us to do so in a way where a person who's on the receiving end feels appreciative, and not in any way that gives off any type of negativity, because again, as I wrote, it's not a favor, it's an obligation, and we have to recognize that obligation that we have. And again, I look forward to working with all of you to fulfill that duty that we have to our Creator, to ourselves, and to humanity. Thanks a lot, Lena, for inviting me. Thank you to CCF for organizing this, and again, thanks to all the guests on here for everything you've done, everything I'm learning about today. I'm really honored and inspired.
Thank you so much, Hiba, for joining us, for everything you do. And, it's been a pleasure to be able to work with you these last couple of months. Thank you. Next, I'd like to turn it over to our third musical performance, Jimmy Payne, who will lead us in a sing-along. So help me welcome Jimmy Payne, everybody. Thank you so much.
I'm honored to be here. For 30 years, I was in the mental health profession, and I did didactic therapy with folk music, trying to encourage people to increase their spiritual consciousness. Since I retired, I've been carrying the message when I can. This is the song. I put this together from a Buddhist loving kindness meditation that we used to say at a meditation group I belonged to at a Unitarian church. And I thought that it needs to be put to music. And then I took some ideas from some other fellowships that I'm engaged with and made 2 verses. I'm going to sing them both verses 3 times. The first time it's I. The second time you change the pronoun to you. And by the third time, the third time is we. And when we get to that point, I expect to see your lips moving. Even though I can't hear you sing. May I be filled with love and kindness. May I be safe. May I be secure. May I be well. May I be happy. May my heart be open to love. May I find peace in time of conflict. May I find courage in the face of fear. May I find comfort in time of sorrow. May I find wisdom in the passing year. May my heart be open to love. Now you think about somebody that you want to bless, and you say, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe. May you be secure. May you be well. May you be happy. May your heart be open to love. May you find peace in time of conflict. May you find courage in the face of fear. May you find comfort in time of sorrow. May you find wisdom in the passing years. And may your heart be open to love. Now we're all in this together. I want to see your lips moving. If I can't hear you, I want to know in my heart that you're with me. We're all together, ain't we? May we be filled with love and kindness. May we be safe. May we be secure. May we be well. May we be happy. May our hearts be open to love. May we find peace in time of conflict. May we find courage in the face of fear. May we find comfort in time of sorrow. May we find wisdom in the passing year. May our hearts be open to love. May your heart be open to love. May my heart be open to love.
Thank you so much.
Nice.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was
Thank
fantastic.
you for having me. It was a pleasure.
It's a beautiful song. Thank you again. Great. Okay. We're almost actually done, but I want to quickly bring back Brother Brother Noor Selhab, Noor, to talk a little bit about some of the community's response to COVID, and some of the outreach that they've been doing. You know, Hibba Rahim mentioned, you know, how COVID has been affecting our communities, you know, unequally. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll bring Mel back in to share some final thoughts and do the raffle, and then we'll end with the final sing-along. So I don't know if he's still with us. But...
Again, you know, our community is like everybody else. We suffered. We had lots of people who really got sick and got well, and we have some people who really also pass away. And things got really bad with lots of people also, like lost their jobs and lost their income, and more people needed more support, financial support and stuff like this. So we actually, in the beginning of the pandemic, for maybe about 3-4 months, we actually were helping families and getting food supplies and vegetables and meat and chicken and stuff like this from people who donated all this time. And we carried this for a long time, actually 3-4 months. And actually we had like a name recognition in the Tampa Bay area for that, and maybe even you know, in the surrounding area in Florida. So we thank the people who really supported us, and we hope that this pandemic will be over. We're waiting for the flu shots, supposed to register tomorrow. I'm waiting for it like everybody else. I don't know if we can get it so, you know, soon enough, but inshallah, you know, we will do our best. But our community is growing. We have, I mean, you left like maybe more than 10 years ago. We have more huge community now, big number of people. The masjid is not big enough anymore. We are praying like 2 times, especially Friday instead of 1 time, and both times is full. The school is full totally, and we cannot accept any more kids. But we are on doing a project, and it should be starting anytime now until maybe August, where we'll have about another 96,000 square feet added to 2 buildings. And we hopefully we will have about 1,500 students in the school, which your father has, mashallah, the first vision for that school. So make sure, I don't know, I didn't see him, but I'm sure he will see what he has done so far. We owe it to him really as our community, because he was the leader with the vision. And we continue on that vision, inshallah, Rabbil Alameen, to help us all for that.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's so amazing to see how much it's grown, and you know, grateful to all of you, and so much credit for continuing the work there. And for the amazing work you did for, you know, in response to COVID and the outreach. And, you know, there was a lot of even recognition from the city. The community that has long been, you know, maligned in the media was now seen as this beacon of hope and light, and, you know, sort of being the first responder. So a lot of credit. Thank you so much.
Good job.
Yeah, wonderful job. No, it was incredible. I mean, alhamdulillah, inshallah. I mean, great. Yeah. So with that, I'll give my final thoughts, is just to, you know, express my sincere love and gratitude to all of you, to this amazing community. I mean, I see it. I just have, you know, it's crazy to think that even in a traumatic time, how many happy memories I have truly with, you know, a lot of brothers and sisters, and some of the most important relationships of my life that were created in such a dark time. And I always wanted everybody to meet this wonderful community from Tampa, and I'm so grateful to be able to do that. And, you know, one of the silver linings of this pandemic is that it allowed us. I always ask Mel, you know, how do I, you know, sort of replicate what happened here? And I think it's important, and I know this came up, that we continue, and this is a message for the Muslim community, is to be there to support your neighbors too. And I know that we're a community under attack, but it's also important to step outside of our own issues and step outside of our silos to give back and to look into other communities. How can we help them? How can we better their conditions? And I think that was what was really important in building this relationship. And there's been a lot of references to HOPE. That's the Hillsborough Organization for Progress and Equality. I think their website is Hillsborough Hope. So this should be, you know, if you're curious to look it up. And it's an organization that's interfaith, but interfaith that's built around justice and outreach to the community. So it isn't just, this is what my religion says, this is what your religion says. It's no, how can we come together as one and you know, solve some of the problems of the community together in a productive way. And, you know, if you want to look into churches in your area, many of them, as Mel has told me, have social action committees. They're very active. Look them up and build relationships with them. And, you know, you might find other organizations similar to Hope's mission. So that's my final thoughts. Happy New Year, everybody. And I'd love to now give Mel, the person who brought us all here together, my personal hero and inspiration. Help me welcome her back again. And thank you to all of you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Lena. So we had a raffle, as some of you may remember, so I'm going to announce the raffle winners first. And the first prize was is $50. And the first prize winner was Jennifer Roney. Okay, okay. And we had the second and third prizes were $25. And one of the winners was Sarah Patterson. And the other one is Sawat Malik Hassan. So we're going to look for your addresses and send your gift certificate. And thank you for signing for joining us. And I'm going to come back. I'm going to turn to Rick now, because we've always had these songs at our picnics. I think maybe everyone. I'm thinking Rick was there at all of them, but most of them, if not all of them. And so we've always sung these two songs. So I'm going to turn over to Rick, and then I'm going to come back and just kind of closing words. And
No,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. This has nothing to do with the program, but for those of you in Hillsborough County who are 65 and older, I don't think this has been very well advertised, but I understand that on the county website, you can register for a COVID vaccine. I don't know that you'll get one. There aren't that many of them available, but I think that's starting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. So that's it. Sorry to interrupt.
That's important. Thank you, Lois. Okay, thank you. And I will turn to Jimmy. I think we're going to be able to put the words up, but mute yourself if you're going to sing along, but you should sing along. These are great songs. Okay, so Jimmy.
Well, Rick.
Sorry, Rick Ferris, not Jimmy.
Yeah, anyway, we've done these two songs. They're sort of,
thank you, Rick.
Thank you. Classic American protest songs. I might make a comment about Tampa. I've lived here since the 70s off and on. And Tampa has a long history of sort of political social action that goes back at least to around 1900, when Tampa was the base for the first Cuban Revolution, which was freeing Cuba from Spain. And it went on through some of the labor unions with the cigar workers and that sort of thing. And I think it's continued, and it sort of illustrates to me how what we do can have a very long effect. What we do today can have a very long effect in the future. And even though it might not seem significant right now. Anyway, the first song we're going to do is This Land Is Your Land, written by Woody Guthrie in 1940, which was a time at the end of the Great Depression, the beginnings of World War II, a time of very uncertainty, much like our time is now. And it's essentially singing about America and how it belongs to everyone, regardless of where they're from. I'm going to just do a shortened version. do the first verse and then the last two verses. Please sing along if you so desire. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for me. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me and the skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. In the squares of the city, in the shadow of the steeple, by the ruby falls, I saw my people as they stood there hungry. I stood there wishing this land was made for you and me. This land was my land. This land is your land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. This land is my land. This land is your land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. I'd like to finish with a song based on an old gospel hymn that eventually developed during the civil rights movement in the United States, beginning in the late 40s after World War II, continuing through the 60s and even to now. It's called We Shall Overcome. Please sing along. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. We shall live.
Come. Oops.
We will live in peace. We will live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, shall overcome someday. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome.
Thank you, Rick. I do remember your name too. I haven't seen you in a long time, but sorry about that little snafu there. So I guess we're kind of at the end of our program for this part anyway. I just want to say it was really nice seeing people again. I wish it was been in person, but this is better than nothing. And hope one day we all can be together and sing together again in one place. And next year, for sure, we'll be back at Lettuce Lake Park. So everybody stay tuned, okay? You'll be hearing from us. And right now we're gonna try to open up so everybody that's watching can, join in and talk, so everybody can go ahead and unmute and you can just talk to people as long as you want to. But our official program is over. So thank you.